We speak. Our words. We listen.
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 Hello and welcome again to Autistic Radio. Yes, it's Christmas, but we're still here. Today we're going to have Harry's Facebook conversation, the last one of the current run before we get into radio days. And radio days will be on the 27th, 28th, 29th and 30th of December. There will be 4 extra Harry's Facebook programs at 5:55 on each of those days between Christmas and New Year. There'll also be 4 extra programs of the 444 drop-in, and it will be at 444 every one of those days. The 27th, 28th, 29th and 30th of December. In the previous 2 hours, let me guess, at the 111 slot and the 222 slot, there will be some podcasts that we play and some talk and chat in between. So if there's any possibility that you need a break from all the festivities between Christmas and New Year, then join us to either listen or take part. I'm going to advertise what we're doing here in case there's something specific here that you want to get involved in with us. We're making a recording coming into the springtime of 2025 about sex. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. We're pushing the boundaries. We've got a couple of professionals coming and talking to us, but we want you to have a voice and we want you to direct some of the things. I'm not entirely comfortable with some of the ways that I interpret the work of the 2 people that are coming up. So I need an autistic angle on this, if anybody's out there to help us. And the second one is we now have the go for a series looking at ABA from a very autistic point of view. We have essentially platformed a group of behaviorists and they have come to describe their take, and we have found common ground in that. It has been surprising, but we really do need now voices from the autistic community to maybe give challenge to some of the things that they have heard. We will make sure that this is respectful all the way through, but I am being encouraged by members I respect of the autistic community to continue this difficult task of having an open conversation with the behaviourist community. Well, lovely. I can relax now and I can pass over to the host. Harry puts forward all of these different posts, a revelation for me because I don't go social media anywhere else. Harry, can you take hold of the show now and give us the Facebook posts from this week?
Good evening, everyone. This is the live on mask for 15th of December 2024. And the first post is from Autism NI, Northern Ireland's main autism charity, and supports over 35,000 autistic people. And what I've shared is a post about my unique Christmas. Christmas can be a challenging time for autistic people, and Autism NI is here to support our vibrant autism community enjoy Christmas their own unique way. Together we can make Christmas inclusive. Cheryl shares her story and what Christmas means for her family. I have learnt that not everything needs to be perfect. It is okay if we do not all eat Christmas dinner, or if the kids eat chicken nuggets and chips. We don't have to be the same as everyone else. The most important thing is that my kids are happy. And the full story is on Autism NI's website. from the Washington family.
There are no rules for Christmas. There are no rules generally. People may want to talk about discipline, order, but sometimes we have to drop the rules.
I think there's this sort of fantasy. I think we talked about it before. There's this sort of fantasy that Christmas preparation, dinners, and the way that you should do things, it's done in a certain way, and everybody has to abide by it. And if you don't, you're strange, you're weird. But surely everybody is different at Christmas. It must be different for everyone. So that's something I want to say on this. But it's good to see these stories shared because assumptions and stereotypes are always made.
I don't do any Christmas, and I haven't for many years. I lived alone for 10 years, and I just stopped even thinking about the whole Christmas thing. I think it's too much hassle. I think it's too much stress. I think it's too much money. I think it's too much of everything. I don't mind having a small celebration. We always do. We have like a nice dinner, but I just think it's all the excess, all the push. I mean, we've had the ad since November, and by the time we get to December, we're just exhausted by the whole thing. There's so much stuff. And I just feel that a lot of it is just for nothing. It's just, and by the time you get to the other end of Christmas, everybody feels disappointed. I tend not to, because I didn't do Christmas in the first place.
Yeah, I can understand that. Not just the commercial, but just the stress for a lot of people go through for that one particular day. As soon as Christmas happens, and I feel like every time it comes, it's like I'm sitting and I'm thinking all of that shit, all of that expectation comes up to today. And then you're thinking, then tomorrow it's like, it's all gone.
I have a relative who shall remain unnamed who thinks that I am completely off my head because I don't do Christmas. And she says, but it's beautiful and it's sparkly and it's lovely. And I just say, yeah, but is it worth the effort? And she always says to me that I'm strange. But that's my Christmas. My Christmas is quiet. It's a day of reflection. It's a day to rest. It's nice to have nice things in the house, but I can't be bothered with a Christmas tree. I just think it's a day when we should all just be saying, relaxing in our own way.
And they say we're the weird ones. Is that all there is?
I am weird, Raymond. I like being weird. I want to be weird. Weird is me. I'm going to go against everything here. I'm going to say, with the post, just do it your own way, how you want, just what the post says. Don't say Christmas is rubbish. Just do the Christmas you like. I know that other people push you and prod you in other directions. The more chance you get to chill out, get off, do yourself, do less, and not try and do everything, the better. But it's difficult. I'm going to have a great Christmas. I'm going to do bugger all. I think my treats are going to be a big 2-litre bottle of dandelion burdock, which is going to cost me about £1. Probably quite a big meal. And a few chocolates here and there. There's not going to be a big thing. It's just going to be a nice few little treats, and I'm just going to make myself smile.
The next post is from Pandas Online, who's an author and promoting acceptance of neurodivergence and support based in the UK. And what they say is about Christmas shopping. Christmas shopping can be a bit overwhelming, especially with the crowds and noise. If it feels like too much, consider shopping online or heading out during quieter times. Having a list can also help keep things manageable and prevent sensory overload. Remember, it's okay to take breaks when needed. Find a quiet spot, use ear defenders, or bring along something comforting. If it still feels overwhelming, there is no harm in leaving and trying again another day. Your well-being comes first.
I'm remembering the last minute rushes you used to get when, you say you were not bothered with Christmas, and then Christmas Eve, it's like the guilt hits. And then it's like, oh, I've got to get a card for someone. I better get them something if I'm visiting them. It's like this obligation to participate in this kind of transaction thing, which may be entirely all my own fault, but that's how it used to be back then. And you weren't alone. There were a lot of people doing a similar sort of thing. And it was just a dreadful time.
The next post is from Autistic and Living the Dream. A personal blog, PhD student, researcher, speaker and trainer. And what they said is, I thought I'd share our morning affirmation from Finch. Please repeat this affirmation 3 times. I release what no longer serves me.
I would abbreviate this to I release me.
I don't do the affirmation thing, but I can see the point of it. I think a routine of telling yourself and giving yourself a break and telling yourself that you're worth it is a very good thing to do. And any affirmation that makes sense to you is a good affirmation. This is what they've chosen. So choose your own. I do something else, and that's whenever I catch myself going, oh, that was a stupid idea, or, oh, I'm stupid. Any time I say that out loud or I say that in my head, I immediately, if I'm aware, I overcome it and I say back, no, I'm not stupid. No, that's a sensible, it's a mistake. Mistakes happen. It's a mistake. Mistakes happen. And I do it again and again and again until I beat that bad, negative habit away. I think that is valuable for me. And I've been asking other people to do it at different times in my life. And, it becomes something we say to each other.
I've done it myself. I mean, I did it the other day there because I had a long week, and saying to myself is like, enjoy it rather than dread it. And I was thinking, because there was some places I had to travel, some places I had to deal with things that, I didn't really, not that I didn't want to deal with it, but I wasn't looking forward to doing so. But then there was this sort of thing of kind of telling yourself that's what you do. Don't overthink, just do. Because most of the time, if not all of the time, it works out well. And it works out for the best. And that was including even meeting my family up in Glasgow, because I was sort of dreading it because it was going into a busy place at a busy time. But I kind of reassured myself not to overthink it, not to over-prepare as such, and just do. And that's exactly what I've done. And there's even sometimes I look at myself, yes, come on, yes, oh, I feel good, because I'm giving myself a G up because I felt a little bit flat. And sometimes these sort of messages, especially if you're overthinker, and maybe that you've had a bad experience, you're overthinking about it, and you're overthinking the past, sort of thing to do, affirmation thing, I suppose is one way of helping you get back. The next post is from Devon Autistic Modelers Society. And what the post is saying is, hi chaps and ladies, admin, Ryan here to let you guys and girls know that I will be going live on Sunday the 15th of December. I'm going to be doing 2 live streams this weekend. On Sunday, the first show, 7:30 PM UK time, and the second show at 8 PM UK time. So feel free to join me for a chat, and feel free to ask questions about autism and modelling in the comment sections of this post, or in the live stream. Also, feel free to comment on what models are and have you guys and girls been working on at the moment. Feel free to post the models you guys and girls are and have been working on, and we will share your work. Also, live streams will be recorded video after that is finished, so that you guys and girls can rewatch it just in case you miss either show.
I just absolutely love it. It's so niche. And it's an autistic interest, passion, something that you get into. I remember making models when I was younger, and I think it is a thing in neurodivergent people to do things, modelling for train sets and modelling for aircraft and all kinds of things. I just think it's lovely. And it's at Christmas. It's the kind of thing you want to do. And I'm glad that's been up on our Facebook page.
Post is from Neurodiversity Manitoba. A mental health service, neurodiversity affirming lived experience supports for schools, adults, families, teens and children, and based in Canada. And what it's talking about is a guide to neuro-inclusive holidays. Tips for helping everyone feel included during the festive seasons. The holidays are a blessing and a curse both. Some people absolutely love them, some people dread them, and most of us are somewhere in between. For me, I enjoy seeing my son take pleasure in his favourite parts of the season. Seeing him get excited about time with family, time at school, and of course, gifts. I enjoy visiting with our close friends who are chosen family here in Manitoba, as our families all live in different provinces. However, many aspects of the busy holiday season can be very challenging for everyone, in particular autistic folks. I will share some strategies and advice to make your holiday more inclusive to everyone. So plan for downtime. Some people like to pack their holidays full of activities, visiting parties and socialising as much as possible. This may be fine for some, but way too much for others. Stock up on safe foods. Another holiday expectation is to eat meals at other people's homes. Some autistic folks have major sensory sensitivities or food aversions and really struggle with new foods. Some absolutely cannot eat certain things due to taste or texture. Offer a quiet space if you can. Sometimes having a quiet space to regularly and take a break from the sensory overload makes a significant difference in our ability to manage, even enjoy the holidays. Don't expect a big fuss over gifts. A lot of autistic folks are uncomfortable with receiving gifts. It's not because we aren't appreciative, or even because we don't like the gift itself. It's often due to the social expectations around receiving a present. Many of us all feel pressure to exclaim, thank the gifter profusely, and make a big deal over the gift. That may not be who we are and how we operate. We may need time to process what has been given to us, and we may prefer to thank the gift giver in private. Comfort routine. Another challenging aspect of the holidays is major disruption in routine. Some of us find the predictability and consistency of a routine comforting. Operating outside of usual routine can really throw us off, so keeping some semblance of structure and predictability can help a lot. Fair and realistic expectations. It's absolutely okay if our holidays don't look like the ones in the movies. We can create our own family traditions that best meet everyone's needs. There are no rules we have to follow. We can do what works best for our families. Let's prioritise our relationships and the people we care about over optics and meeting arbitrary social expectations. So good luck and happy holidays.
Think it's sound advice?
Like, it reinforces the message that we've been saying repeatedly already. Don't think the Christmas that you see in films or on adverts even, that's the standard that you have to aspire to, because you would think that everybody has their Christmas in different ways from each other anyway. So why feed into this fantasy Christmas that the commercial side of things, or even fictional films that are promoting a particular story, tries to share, tries to generalise? Maybe not in a bad way, but just like some people seem to think that's something they feel under pressure to aspire to.
I think there's a thing about this time of year that's an exaggeration of what happens to us at other times of year. And that is that people try to enforce something upon us. You know, come and do this. And we're not ready when they immediately suggest it and we recoil from it. And my general advice is to, if you found that you've done that to an autistic person, to just give us space and allow us to change our minds. Don't double down and push us further. Just give us a space to change our minds, and we might decide that this is one of the times that we're going to do something different, change. And it's always a good thing. We like change. We like to do new different things. We just don't like being told exactly what to do to fit the convention in the same way that maybe you're more comfortable with if you're neurotypical. So just back off, give us space, give us a chance to come back again, and double the time you would think it is between how much space we need. Just double or triple that time.
Post is from Scottish Autism. Scotland's autism charity for over 50 years. And what they've shared is about being delighted to declare this year's Christmas market a tremendous success. Last weekend we held our annual market showcasing bespoke artworks, sweet treats, wreaths and more from our Opportunity Service. Makers Cafe, Cartini Nurseries and Inspire. We were even treated to some Christmas classics from our Inspire choir. Thank you to everyone who came along and helped raise £1,700. The funds raised will be used to support services and providing the opportunities for autistic people.
Well done. 1,700's quite good. Yeah, very positive.
I'm just thinking we should put it in our diary for next year, and it would have been one of the opportunities where you could actually speak in a non-pressured environment to somebody from Scottish Autism, because they don't generally answer your emails.
The next post is from Joy of Autism, which is a personal blog. This page is dedicated to my son Jacob and for all autistics and their families and friends. My goal is to inform, advocate, educate and share. Smiles. And what I've shared is about autism and perfectionism. Perfectionism is very common among autistics. It's an unhealthy need to do things perfectly. Be perfect and have perfection surround you. Perfectionism is driven by fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of disapproval, and fear of not meeting impossible standards and unattainable goals, all to avoid or minimize shame, blame, and judgment. Perfectionism can be both a good and a bad. Those who have it are often the very hard workers and put their best effort into everything they do. But this comes at the high cost of their mental and sometimes physical well-being. So,
Is this overcompensation?
well, perfectionism, in my experience, is something that drives me to work up and do things the best as I can. But sometimes it does affect mental health being, because you think for some reason, even though that I've been told that I do great work, I've been told that I do well, I get many plaudits, but I'm never that satisfied or satisfied enough. But I feel that that keeps me driving forward. But sometimes I also feel that I don't give myself enough credit and enough reward in terms of taking a break and taking it easy. And that sometimes is quite hard to do. Although I do it, it's quite intense in doing it because I feel that sometimes things have been left unfinished.
Yeah, I've never understood perfectionism. It's one of many things I don't understand that people seem to take for granted. People have often said I was a perfectionist, but they were never able to tell me why and in what way. And I don't think I am. I'm actually lackadaisical, as my dad used to say. I couldn't give a shit. You know, it's like, I'll just let things slide. If I'm into something, you'll be into it, but it won't last long, you know. So that's why I asked about overcompensation, because sometimes I feel perfectionism is this idea of like overcompensating, as described in the picture. Fear of making mistakes and disapproval and not meeting impossible standards and unattainable goals. I mean, who gives you these goals and standards? Is it yourself? Have you inherited that from the world out there that supplies this information to you? Yeah, perfectionism. It's one of these. A lot of these posts just make me think too much and I get dead confused. I don't really like thinking that much about certain things.
Yeah, I think you've picked on something really helpful, though, here to say. Because there is an element to autistic perfectionism that is a defense mechanism. It's if you feel that you are prepared and over-prepared for a situation, you're going to be able to cope with the situation better because you feel as though you're going to be knocked back socially anyway in lots of ways. So the one way that you can make sure that you get valued is by doing a job that's better than anybody else's. And that's what I would say comes with the overcompensation aspect to it. I would also say that there is an aspect to perfectionism where it's much more natural for us to follow something and try and get the whole of something worked out as a complete thing rather than just accepting little bits of it, because there seems to be a thing that we need to really kind of understand and put things together in a kind of whole. Other people are quite happy to just pick bits of. If it doesn't make full sense to us, we're uncomfortable in lots of circumstances. And that can lead to a situation where other people see us doing that, seeing us really thinking about something, and they say, well, that's way above where I would be. That sort of standard you're dealing with, the detail you're dealing with would be more than they would expect. So they call you perfectionist on the basis of that. And it's a pejorative term to keep us down. I feel generally that I have in the past experienced when I was younger a kind of perfectionism that meant I didn't do things. I would work things out to such a degree of what would be absolutely necessary on something that it would become self-defeating and it would become so big it wouldn't get done. And the only way I've been able to manage and do projects and get things done is a certain amount of compartmentalization and only dealing and focusing on certain small parts of it, and then another small part and another small part, and kind of pushing off into the future that whole skeleton of the whole thing together, the whole strategy. But I know that I've had a strategy at the beginning, but I don't concentrate on it because it becomes something that stops you achieving. Does any of that make any kind of sense?
Yes, it does. Can you ever understand everything? Or totally, or the whole thing? I mean, you said you break it down and compartmentalize it. That doesn't even help, because at the end of the day, what is the goal? Do you believe in the goal? Do you love it? Is it your joy? So, I don't know. It's all about what you're trying to achieve, I imagine.
And there again, you give us the whole Confucius, the whole, Kung Fu philosophy. You're right. It does depend on what the goal is. And we do have the wrong goal. And we are pushing ourselves. And these things are within the structures of the society that we have this version of perfectionism where we're doing something that supposedly is important. Whereas the real importance is probably to enjoy the moment that we're living. The cliche of living in the moment has truth in it. And our goal, I think, in life should be a much more varied movement away from perfectionism, but still understanding that we enjoy the strategy in the whole. So giving ourselves a break and letting ourselves off the hook and embracing the idea of a good enough job and reducing until that thing becomes so easy and small, it's no big deal.
Yeah, I can relate to that, definitely. The thing that I've done in my life is I've always made sure that I've got something to do, which gives me an incentive to make an effort. And if I feel a bit flat or whatever, it's something that I can push myself toward, like a goal. And a lot of things I'm involved in, sometimes it can be quite high pressured and there's a lot of stuff to do, but what I do is prioritise what I feel needs to be done sooner. But also split it up in a way which makes it smaller, so the small jobs that all roll into one in the end, but it'll all be complete when it's done. And after you go over each small job, each challenge you put yourself, it feels, progressive and it feels positive and it gives you the incentive to keep going. But also sometimes it gives you the incentive to take a break and know that you've done some things and you're planning to do the rest of it or some of it the next day or so. And then it kind of keeps as a positive thing in your mind rather than feeling that you've left a job half done. I've learned to do that, fairly recently. And a lot of that is through our own discussions and hearing from other people's experiences and how people, give advice and how people approach things in a more positive way and in a more healthy way.
Yeah, we're learning from each other and we're reminding each other and we're reinforcing each other as well in positive ways. Justin is texting, he's saying, taking it on bit by bit, chunk by chunk, compartmentalizing things. And then a phrase in quotes, one brick at a time. And then a nice graphic of bricks being built. It really is those cliches of restricting everything so it's not too daunting, taking it a chunk at a time, don't over perfect, and try to take the shortcuts of a good enough job because your standards might be well above what is expected.
The last post is from Autistic Self-Advocacy Network of Australia and New Zealand. And it says, together advocating for all autistic people, we are run by autistic people for autistic people. We work to centre the voices of autistic adults with a specific focus on systemic advocacy and empowering our community with self-advocacy skills. And what they're talking about in this post is about sending emails as a way of communication. And it says, sending emails. Email can be a helpful way to communicate for autistic people, especially with professionals and service providers. The benefits of sending an email: you can write it at any time. You can take your time. You can refer to it later. It's fast and cheap, and it can be sent to many people. When writing an email, think about who you want to see your message, what you want to say, what outcome you would like, relevant facts and events, and an appropriate greeting and sign-off. And a tip: save your email and review it later if you aren't feeling calm.
There's a lot of advice there. I only want to pick out one thing, and that is about composing an email, especially if you've composed that email late at night and in an emotional state, to put that into drafts without a recipient in it and then come back to it, because the way we express ourselves is not always readily accessible by the person that we receive it. I am very aware that I have sent many emails in the past, and an alternative way of reading that email changes the sense of the email radically. So, especially late at night, let's put those emails in draft without a recipient so they don't go accidentally anywhere, and then look at it the next day.
It's not like the private letter, is it? It's the nature of the beast that technology's made these mistakes too easy. You know, whereas sending a letter in the back in the old slow world, you would take your time about these issues.
What I find very beneficial about emails is it gives you a chance to think about what you're putting down, what you're saying. Especially if there's some quite intense. And a lot of it sometimes is you're not entirely got all the facts, so if you save it and then you get back there, it's a very good template. Because I've had instances in the past where I've tried to do things verbally, and things have been taken out of context, or like a decision's been made, or something's been said, and maybe the sound of the voice or the way the words came out sounded like too harsh or too brutal or too cheeky. I think that emails can find a way to help you kind of regulate the words you're putting out and put things right, because I've had those situations and a lot of emails that I've done since then. It's helped kind of deal with, kind of but difficult situations, and not just with ones with life with banks and all that, which are already difficult. What's good with that is you get time to explain, and that gives a more comfortable conversation depending what's been discussed or what's been inquired about. Thanks very much, everybody, for taking part in the conversation. And thanks for the people who have shared those Facebook posts for which we've been discussing today. So this is Live Unmasked for the 15th of December 2024, which is part of Spectrum Voices Conversation, which is every Sunday, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. UK time, which is 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. So thanks again, and now I'll hand over to Jules.
Yes, thanks, Harry. The people who listen to us live hear this at the beginning of the show, where I go through the things that we're doing here at Autistic Radio as an organisation and within the charity Autistic Association. The Autistic Radio project has a long history, and it's embedded into the work of Maurice Frank. Maurice is a very well-known character here in Scotland, a campaigner and somebody who organises self-help. For some time now, we have had the benefit of the mentorship and the advice that Maurice has given us. I have depended on Maurice Frank in lots of ways since I decided to be diagnosed as autistic. And today, Maurice has moved to a different phase. He is taking a break from being one of the officers of the charity Autistic Association. And that was a hard thing because we asked Maurice to take a break. And we hope that in the future, Maurice will return to us refreshed, and the way that we are changing the organisation that we have here is more adapted and it's suitable for the way he wishes things to progress. We are right now at a change point for everything that we have been doing. Things are getting very hot here at Autistic Radio. There are lots of opportunities coming our way. I was really lucky to be in a room in the Scottish Parliament opposite the MSP, who is neurodivergent and also has neurodivergent children, listening to a neurodivergent professional who leads a neurodivergent team to create services directed at neurodivergent people, appropriate for neurodivergent people, designed by neurodivergent people. And alongside that group of neurodivergent professionals, one of the big charities was supporting them in co-production. I have been here criticizing recent developments where money had been handed out to some of the usual suspects in autism, and I had been finding difficulty to get good news stories out of that funding. But this one is. At the same meeting, the Scottish Minister for Health spoke. What was said by Sean and his team, Rob Holland from the big charity, really made an impact on the audience. And the audience was made of a lot of rather influential people in where money gets spent. And also some of the people that didn't quite, in my opinion, make the mark when they were asked to take a meaningful input from autistic people when they designed their services. I'm an autistic man, so my ability to network at such events is fairly limited, quite unusual, quite cack-handed in some people's minds. But I'm pleased to say that I stood up from the floor. I had been given the opportunity to be at the table, but I had taken a position at the floor, and I stood up amongst a large group of autistic people, and I spoke out on behalf of Autistic Association and Autistic Radio. And you could have heard a pin drop. I think it's clear to say that we have made some kind of impact amongst the people that have been difficult to access. And since that conversation and in the Scottish Parliament, I have some other exciting things to talk about. But there's just not enough time. So I would like to suggest to Harry and the people here that we make an appointment for a time during radio days to speak about what we're going to do in the new year and how we're going to move forward and what the plans are for everything to do with this project in one of the programs that happens on the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, the period of Christmas and New Year, which is radio days. So what do you think about that, guys?
Yeah, very happy suggestion. I mean, it's, great work on yourself, Jules. There's a lot of work you've done. Grow project, help grow the charity, help grow the whole sphere of everything that's been building up in the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm happy for the discussion to continue elsewhere, because we know that so much can be talked about, so much can be discussed, so much can be explained, but we just haven't got the time at this particular moment. But I'm happy to do it in the radio days.
So I'm going to bring the meeting to a close unless anybody has any other business. Spectrum Voices Conversation is an Autistic Association production for AutisticRadio.com. If you have something to share with us, if you need a voice, you can make different kinds of programs with us. You can make a 10-minute short, or you can join us for a podcast to talk about a subject that is dear to your heart or something you think needs a wider audience. We have an open door policy for divergent views. We do not necessarily agree with everything that we share on our Facebook pages or the words expressed in our podcast. There are a lot of different divergent views which we are trying to allow get aired so that people can see things from different people's vantage points. We hope that you will join that conversation. Contact us through any of our links, Facebook, by email, directly to us.